planning on going to Pakistan. I was actually in Kazakhstan. And I was there for a trip with another member of Congress because Kazakhstan is bordered by Russia, it's bordered by China. It's a pretty tough neighborhood. Pakistan's in a pretty tough neighborhood too. If you look at, is the map up here? Oh, okay. So that's a pretty tough neighborhood also. And we went to go visit there. And while I was there, my co-chair of the Pakistani caucus, I serve as the co-chair of the Pakistani caucus in Congress, called me in Kazakhstan and said, I'm going to Pakistan, will you come? And quite frankly, I was exhausted. I wanted to come home and see my family, but I knew that I had to go to Pakistan because I have so many friends from the Pakistani American community that have always supported me. And I knew that I had to show my support for all of you. And the Consul General made such a beautiful speech before, but she talked about the money that's come from the United States already. The United States was the first and has made the biggest contribution so far, and we are going to keep on pushing for more contributions to be made to help our Pakistani friends during this time of need. This Tuesday, I'll be speaking with the State Department, with someone from the State Department who just visited Pakistan. On Wednesday, I'll be meeting with the Foreign Minister, Bhutto Zardari, and we will be introducing some legislation also to try and encourage more money. And I don't know if the legislation will get passed, but we're going to do everything we can to keep on pushing the U.S. government to do more to help our Pakistani friends. Everybody in this room knows that we've been through a lot of ups and downs over the years in the Pakistani-American relationship. But, you know, that's like a marriage, okay? And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but you got to stick together no matter what. I've told many of you before, my grandfather used to give speeches at the family weddings. And he'd say, "Que cosa matrimonio?" He'd say, what is marriage? Is marriage like a long journey with a lot of ups and a lot of downs? But that's okay, because in life, non ci sono rose senza spine. You can't have a rose without the thorns. So we've had plenty of thorns. We need to celebrate the roses by coming back together again. And right now, our friends in Pakistan are going through a lot of thorns, and they need our help. So you've heard about the statistics, about 2 million homes that are either partially or totally destroyed, 33 million people that are affected. No one mentioned that there have been almost 1 million livestock that have drowned. 1 million livestock, mainly from Balochistan, but in Sindh province as well. Sindh province is hit the worst, but the livestock, many were killed in Balochistan. Of course, the 1,600 people that were killed. Just think about that, these poor families. Think about just one family. When you meet somebody with a death in a family, think of 1,600 people dead, people's livelihoods gone because their livestock is killed, their farms wiped out, completely wiped out. Pakistan's a huge cotton producer, a huge rice producer, huge producer of many different types of varieties. Wiped out, farms completely flooded, gone, over, done. People who had their life food supply for the next year got washed away. And their seed that was also in their homes got washed away as well. And as a result, they don't have the seed to plant this year. So I arrived in Pakistan on September 4th. Early in the morning. I had a 14-hour layover in Istanbul. And we started very early. We went to an Air Force base. We took a plane down to the southern part of the Sindh province. And we took a helicopter from the Bolari Air Force Base. Has anybody ever heard of the Bolari Air Force Base? Is anyone from Sindh province here? Anyone from Sindh province? Raise your hand. Anyone from Balochistan? Anyone from Punjab? Yep. Oh, now I know where you're all from. So we went down there and we flew in a helicopter from the very southern part of the Sindh province. And we literally flew for an hour and saw an area that looked like a lake the entire time. For an hour, 100 miles, 200 kilometers. And we flew to a place called Dadu, which is a little bit higher elevation, where people from all throughout the area were brought to. You would see, let me see what outside, let me see what picture, I don't know what pictures have you been showing pictures up here already? Let me just show you, this is the Bellari Air Force Base. This is me along with the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee with the flower jacket there, and the U.S. Ambassador to Pakistan, along with military officials from the Army and the Air Force. Let's see what other pictures we have. This is us at one of the, visiting of one of the, I forget what that location is. That may be at the parliamentary building. What's the next one? This is the delegation. This guy on the left, Al Green from Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee is my co-chair, me and the ambassador. Al didn't come until the next day. This is at Dadu, where we were they gave us a great briefing on what they were doing. You know, it's very important to understand that there was rains that started back in June, and there was melting of glaciers that started because of the heat. And that was not the problem. I mean, that started some flooding. It began. But it was really when in places like the Sindh province and the Balochistan, they had a 400% increase in their rainfall over a very short period of time. And that water is not draining away. It's standing water. So not only were people's homes destroyed, not only have people been evacuated from their homes, but now the standing water is there and mosquitoes are there. So people are getting malaria and dengue fever. And there's no drinking water available, but people are drinking and they're getting dysentery as a result. So when they talk about their needs, they talk about shelter as number one. The U.S. has provided hundreds of thousands of tents already. The great thing about what's happening here tonight, you talk about doing something more permanent. But they need shelter, they need food, and they need medicine, especially for the malaria and the dengue fever and for the dysentery. Let me just show you the other photo. This is me with the second day. We met with a whole bunch of elected officials. This is the Prime Minister, as I'm sure you all know. This is the Foreign Minister. This was back at the Air Force Base. Is that the end? Okay. And you don't have any of the videos?
I'll pull it up.
You can pull one of the videos so I can just show what it looks like from up in the air. So this is really a big problem. And climate change is very much responsible for this. And even though Pakistan is the 5th largest population of any country in the world, it's not a huge contributor to the greenhouse gases that cause climate change. Now, the fact that much of Pakistan has been deforested, all the trees have been cut down, 80% of the forests have been cut down since 75 years ago. So that contributes to the problems as well. But it's all mainly because of all this rain, the heat, the melting of the glaciers. This is causing all these problems. And we need the world community to step up. You hear the United States has put up a lot of this money so far, but of the 160 million, we're only up to, what was the percentage you said, 37%. So we really need other countries, think directly to the north of Pakistan, who we really need them to help contribute to this effort. And we need the U.S. to try and do more as well. And I'm going to keep on arguing that we have to do more. I had some wonderful meetings with people. I met with the Chief of Staff of the Army. I met with the Speaker of the Assembly. I met with the Chairman of the Senate. I met with the Minister in charge of climate change. I met with the Minister in charge of planning and development. And people told me a lot of wonderful stories about the things the U.S. has done with Pakistan over the years. In the 1970s, the Green Revolution to make Pakistan more self-sufficient with grain was really the U.S. helped to do that. The U.S. helped to create the stock market in Pakistan. There are so many different, okay, I don't know, can we hear that? Now look at this. These are people's homes that are completely underwater. This is on our way to Dadu. And you could just imagine, this goes on for 100 miles. And this is nowhere near, this particular shot is nowhere near the Indus River. This is not from the Indus River overflowing. This is from rain falling in an arid area, a 400% increase in rain, and these people's homes are completely wiped out. And listen, when I was in the helicopter, it was me and Congressman Sheila Jackson Lee, the ambassador, and a general. We would see people running towards the helicopter whenever there was a roadway, hoping that someone would land to pick them up and take them out, or would be dropping off food. So don't, I think it was the original speaker, the MC tonight, who talked about it. This is going on every single day. You see this roadway right here that's submerged, completely submerged? Many of the roadways that we saw, are there any more of these videos? Many of these roadways are where people are putting their tents. They're putting tents up on roadways because they're a little bit elevated above the farmland that is flooded. And there are hundreds of thousands of people that are living in tents in either refugee camps or in elevated areas on roadways. And it's very hard to get to the people because the roadways aren't available to get there. It takes forever and it's very expensive to take a helicopter, and it takes a really long time to take a boat. So people are really suffering. The water is starting to recede, but for the water to completely recede will take 3 to 6 months. This is especially down in the south, in the Sindh province. So I want you to know that I'm going to only be in Congress until January.
Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas. We just arrived at Lahore Air Force Base, Pakistani Air Force Base here in Badu, Pakistan.
This is just me making a speech. You don't need that one. It's another speech. So I'll be in Congress until January. I promise you that I will continue to try and bring attention to this in the halls of Congress, so people pay attention, and hopefully out of this tragedy will come a rekindling of the relationship between the United States of America and the Pakistani people, so that we can try and enhance this relationship back to when it was a positive relationship again. So thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for all your help over the years. Appreciate it.